Okay, so I've got a 2-year-old. Well, 2 years and about 3 months to be precise. Now, 2-year-olds are filled with emotions, they're filled with independence, newfound independence. They want to do everything themselves, they want to discover the world, they're walking, they're running, they can touch things. They want to just be their own person, they have their own lives. Now, it's a really important age by which they need to start to see things in a very distinct way. And they're starting to learn and pick up social signals and cues and understanding how to balance their emotions and how to react to things, and learning things like numbers and letters, and starting to think about the world around them beyond just their little bubble. And so like I said, my son is just turned 2, and there are certain things that I'm implementing now in our daily routine and being quite conscious and quite explicit about, in order to try to really develop those skills and build on his communication and build on his emotion and try to make him a more independent, more well-rounded little person, and kind of really try to think about it very purposely. So I thought I'd share in this video a few ways that I do that in our daily life, and these things take a couple of minutes here and there. They're quick little habits that I've been building over the past 2 years, but more so during this age of being 2, when it's really their formative stages. So I thought I'd share that with you as an academic myself and as a PhD holder. These are the things that I'm doing with my son to help him develop as a little human. If you want to see more videos like this, then don't forget to follow me and subscribe to watch some more videos. Okay, so the first one is imagination and creative play. Now, you might see your 2-year-old start to pick up random objects, put it towards its ear and say like hello, act like they're on the phone, or just pick up random toys and play with them in the way that it's not meant to be played with. That is amazing. That is really great development, and it shows that they're starting to make connections about objects within their space and other objects, and they can kind of like pretend, and their imagination is starting to mature and develop. And this is really, really good. In fact, one of the recommendations that you will be told if your child has yet to develop like imaginative play and has sort of delayed development is to imagine things and do random play scenarios with them. So literally to spend all day just picking up, let's say, I don't know, a calculator and saying hello, acting like it's a phone, or picking up a little play cup and pretending like it's a cup of tea and pretending to sip. And those are ways that we can develop our child's imagination. And this is a really, really a good skill that they're picking up. And if you do notice your child doing that, then sit down and just take a moment to really like come into that with them and act like they are really doing that. So one of the things that Sufyan has started to do and really loves doing is he has like this stack of toys. So what he does is he takes these little cups and puts them down on a tray and acts like he's making some tea. And so he gets like this little wooden thing and acts like it's a spoon and puts some sugar in it and puts a tea bag in it, and then he says, here you go mama, here's your tea. And rather than just ignoring him, I'll take it and I'll be like, ooh, that's really hot, and I'll start to say sentences and start to communicate with him and say, can you blow it for me, and start to make that into a little scenario. And that's really, really good. The second is communication. Now, communication is probably one of the biggest ones that I can emphasize for this age range, between 2 to about 4 years old, when they're starting to pick up language, when they're starting to talk and they're starting to use their words, and they're really starting to kind of verbalize their emotions. Communication is key. So what I like to do is I like to ask lots of questions throughout the day, and I'll always wait for a response. So I won't just ask the question and then give an answer straight away. I won't be like, are you hungry? Yes, okay, let's go and do this. No, I'll wait. I'll say, are you hungry? And then I'll just wait for an answer, and then I'll say, okay, what would you like to eat? And then I'll wait for an answer. So I try not to fill the answers out there for him. I try my best to kind of give him time to respond, and I find that it works really well because it gives him a chance to actually try to process that question and think about an answer, which is really important. I also like to recap the day. So after a day, it doesn't matter what we've done, we could have been at home all day, even if we've just been sitting around, going to the park, whatever. At the end of the day, I usually like to say, so what have we done today then? And then I'll run through the day, and if I've taken photos, which I normally do, I'll show him the photos on my phone. So I'll say, look, we went to the park, there's Sufyan in the park, there you are, that's you in the park. And then I'll say, right, in the park, what did we do? And then he would usually say, oh, we saw some squirrels, or like we saw this little train thing, whatever. And then he starts to use his memory, and it really helps him compartmentalize that day. And it is quite a mundane task. It's not, you know, just kind of repeating boring things that you do during the day. But for them, for a 2-year-old, that's massive. They went to the park. They did something huge. They went to the park, they saw all these people, and they saw all these things, and then they came back home, and that is such a big achievement. And so I really like to emphasize all of these things, and then I let him finish my sentences off. I let him say what he thinks about the day, and there's certain things that he will say that I didn't even think was a relevant part of the day, but actually for them, for this little person in this big world, it's huge, and that really helps with communication and just really sitting there face to face and just having that conversation. I also am a huge talker, so as you can probably tell, what I like to do is when he's in the pushchair or when we're just hanging around in the house, we talk about everything. So like if we're in the pushchair, we're walking down the road, I won't use my AirPods or anything like that. I used to when he was younger, but now that he's able to speak and communicate, I always talk to him. So I'll say, oh wow, there's a bus over there. How many buses can you see? And we'll talk about how many buses we can see. And then I'll say, oh, how many wheels do the bus have? And then we'll count how many wheels they have. And then we'll say, what color is the bus? And then we'll see a tractor, whatever it is. And we're constantly conversating, and I'm constantly pointing things out for him to see. And so we're in this constant state of communication, especially when we're outside. I like to always communicate with him when we're outside and point things out, and I always get a response, which is really good. And then the second thing I like to do is when we're in the house, I like to kind of get him into my world, so bring him into the activities that I'm doing. So let's say I'm cooking, I'll kind of put him next to me and I'll say, look, this is what I'm doing. I'm cooking, I'm making chicken and rice. Let's wash the chicken first. Oh, we can't touch the chicken, it's dirty, it's got bacteria on it, so we're gonna wash it now with some salt. And I'll kind of give him a task that I know that he can do. So I'll give him a teaspoon, get the salt out, put it on the chicken, and then obviously I'll do the chicken stuff. And so kind of really involve him in the day. And then like I said, at the end of the day, we'll summarize it. We'll say, let's tell daddy what we've done today. So we'll go to Mohammed and we'll say, guess what we did? We washed the chicken. We'll kind of make this communication, and it's really important to kind of make the storify, it's not even a word, but like make the day into a story. So at the end of the day, we can summarize that story, and it really helps with comprehension. And that is one of the biggest things I think that you can build on at this age range. That doesn't cost a penny, just a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. The third is problem solving. So again, at this stage now where they're figuring out the world, they're figuring out like what's around them, and the one big one is problem solving. So their idea of like permanence has gone. So they know, like my Maria, my 8-month-old, if I hide behind something, she thinks I've gone. So when I say peekaboo, she actually gets scared because she's forgotten, like she doesn't know the fact that I'm still there behind this thing. Whereas for a 2-year-old, they know you're still there. Right? So they love the game, but they do know that you're still there. So that's kind of problem solving. They want you to kind of like allow them to kind of figure things out and work out what's happening. So I like to play hide and seek. Even with him, I still love to play hide and seek, and he still absolutely loves it, but he knows I'm there. Or even just like with toy blocks, puzzles, things that require you to like look at the shape and the orientation and the numbers and put them in the right places. If you have any of those kind of toys, that's amazing. But even just thinking about what you have in the home, what do you have around you that requires them to think a little bit about how something would fit into each other? Like if you have like measuring spoons and they all kind of slot into each other with the same, like, you know, it gets really from the bigger size to the smaller size, how can you then give that to them? It's plastic. Give it to them and then look at what they do. Like what is the process? What is their mindset doing? And that's something that you just have in the house, and it's absolutely free. And it just means that they're thinking a bit deeper about their surroundings and like how they can work something out, which they, by the way, absolutely love. And that's an amazing thing to do again at this age. The next is fine motor skills. So this is using their hand really, and being able to kind of hand-eye coordination. So a big one is brushing teeth. So at this age, you should 100% be brushing their teeth completely. They do not have the hand-eye coordination to be able to do that. They do not have any like dexterity at all to be able to do that. However, it is a good idea to give them the opportunity. So something that I do is I let Sufyan brush his teeth in the morning, because in the morning like his teeth are clean anyway, so I don't mind if he brushes it in the morning himself, and then in the evening I will always brush it. So I've allowed him the opportunity to kind of like do that movement but at like in a low risk situation. And then I also let him do things like cut things, obviously like a blunt knife, not a real knife, like a kid's knife. Use a scissor, again, you know, a blunt scissor. Always be there to watch them at any time whenever these things are happening. But things that mean that they need to like cut in a straight line or cut something like that. I'll even let him like grate cheese or like, you know, peel potatoes. And like I said, I'm always there, so do make sure that if you're giving them tools like that, then you are next to them and you're showing them what to do, and you're really giving them all the attention and not just leaving them to it. But these are all things that are going to help build their manual dexterity and build their like hand-eye coordination. And at this age, it's really important. And the reason why it's really important is because they are going to learn how to write soon. They are going to learn how to use a pen, a pencil. They're going to learn how to, you know, put their hands together and use their hands to close things like buttons and, you know, tie their shoelaces. And these are all skills that are going to be built through hand-eye coordination. So by starting really young, by picking them up and letting them do those things that allow them to not just use their palm but actually use their fingers, is a really powerful skill to be able to learn at this age. Also just giving them a pen or pencil, coloring pencils, and allowing them to like draw and scribble, and that's something that I always do, especially at this age. And then the last one is reading / maths / academics. Now, yes, he's 2. He's way too young to actually read a book. I don't say way too young. I don't think it's too young to be. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's too young. But you know, traditionally, it's young. But I think it's never too young for these things. If you can tell that a child is able or has the capability to start to learn, then I say go for it. And one of the things that I'm starting to do is to pick up phonics. So start to learn letters and phonics to be able to read. So my goal, my internal personal goal, is for him to read before he turns 3. So like in the next 6 to 9 months, I really want him to be able to read. And so, like what I'm doing to be able to achieve that is I'm starting with the phonics. So I've got all the letters on the wall and I've kind of gone through the phonics with him, and I would say he knows about half of them so far. The phonics, he recognizes all the letters, but the phonics it's a bit more challenging, and there's also like uppercase and lowercase. It's a whole minefield of learning, but it's so much fun. And I love that we're at the age now where we can actually like learn things, and we're not just at the baby crawling stage, which is what Maria's at. I don't really enjoy that stage. I like the learning. I like when I can see like a child picking things up and like learning things and like excelling. It makes my heart burst. So that is where we're at the moment. And one thing I'd encourage is like, you know, challenging your child. Push them more than you think that they can achieve, and ultimately, you know, gently, obviously, don't go overboard, but always think about, right, what am I doing with my child right now? What could they do? And just try it. You never know. They might be able to say a few letters. O is easy, X is easy, S is easy. Letters that are quite obvious and kids can say quite easily. Pick those ones up. At least start from there. That'll be 5 letters already, and that's just, you know, something that you can start from and something that you can build on. Another thing that I do is I use audiobooks quite a lot. So what I'll do, we have no TV, we have very minimal screen time. Some days nothing, most days nothing, some days between 5 minutes to 15-20 minutes, and not that much at all. So what we normally do to give me a break as well, so I'm not entertaining them all day, is I'll put like an audiobook on. So we've got the actual books in person, and then I'll put the audiobook on, so then they recognize he recognizes what the audiobook is saying, and he can flick through the book at the same time. And I find that this is really, it's a nice way to incorporate, it's not screen time at all because it's with a speaker, but it's a nice way to incorporate like a different voice and still learning and still having fun in a different way that's not just me speaking or not, you know, them reading. It's a nice change to what they're used to, and I find this really helps as well. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. There's a few things that I'm doing at the moment, and like I said, these are all things that I've just implemented into daily life, so that I don't actually think about them. And I had to really think about this video to be able to point out these things, because these are things that I have been doing since they were born, and I've just kind of just been incorporating it into our everyday, like as I'm changing a nappy, I'll just say something. They're not really things that you have to take out of your day or orientate your day any differently. They're just things that you built habits for, and so by the end of the week, you've realized that you've done so much learning unintentionally. Yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you've got a 2-year-old or you've got an older child and you found that something helped. I'm always learning. Like I'm a new mum technically, so I'm still always learning. So let me know if you have any comments down below as to like any other things that you'd recommend me doing. And yeah, I'd love to have a little chit chat down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.